Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I'm doing a playthrough of Die Tavernen im Tiefen Thal. I think that's loosely translated to the taverns in the Deep Valley or of the Deep Valley. Don't really know what the official English title will be. Yes, it's designed by mastermind Wolfgang Warsch. Big fan of Ganz schön clever myself. Not really good at the game, but still I like it a lot. Schmidt Spiele was kind enough to provide me a review copy of this game, so take everything I say with a pinch of salt. But yeah, let's see how things go, shall we?
Okay, and here we are. This is the setup for a two-player game. I'm using all but one module, and this is this guest book here. I'm really not sure why I don't like it that much, but I decided not to use it in this playthrough here. The good thing about those modules in this game is that you cannot pick and choose. So let's say you want to use module 4. This means you also have to add in modules 2 and 3. Something I really prefer over keeping it too modular. One of the modules I really like are those starting cards here. So this gives you some kind of a, let's say, changing setup from game to game. So usually you have, all the players have the same deck of cards in the basic game. So 7 guests and then I think a table, a waitress and the beer delivery guy. With this module here, you're pretty much removing the table, the waitress and the delivery guy. So you're only up to your 7 standard guests pretty much in your deck. And then it's up to you how you want to have your starting situation to be. And there are 7 cards in total. And you always choose 4 and then the players pick and choose which starting card they want to go for. All the players can go for the same card if they want to, so there is no imbalance. Let's say that starting player uses this card, then it's no longer available. No, all the players could in theory pick the same cards here. And I think blue wants to go for this one, make it easy, and yeah, why not have red go for this card. This card here allows you to upgrade your tables. So you don't have 3 tables, no, you have 4 tables right off the bat. And this player board here is really one of the components that's so awesome, so well designed. It works perfectly well. So all of those is modular as well, so you can flip those tiles around, you get different benefits. Really a job well done. I think that's not it. The blue player also gets a schnapps, also one of the modules that we are adding here. Usually when you upgrade one of your, let's say, furniture or one of your components in your tavern, you also get one of those noblemen or women. In this case, it's not allowed, so you don't get it because it's pretty much a starting bonus. And yeah, those noblemen or women come with 10 victory points each, so that's definitely a big deal, which is the main reason why you don't get it for this starting card. So blue will only have his 7 standard guests. I already shuffled this deck here, and red decided to go for this card here, which means we will upgrade the beer storage, so he can now store up to 5 beer in his cellar. And he also gets the bard. We add this to the deck, so we will shuffle this, and we also get an additional table. This table in theory is pretty much the same as a table here, but the 4 tables are always available for the blue player, whereas the red player always have to wait for the right card to come up. So I will give those cards a quick shuffle, and I think I will continue shuffle off camera. And that's already it for those starting cards, so we'll turn those to the game board. And in theory, then we are ready to start the game. As usual, I will explain all the rules as I go. We will play this game basically 8 rounds, and whoever has the most victory points by the end of the game is the winner, has the most famous tavern in the Deep Valley here. So yeah, let's see. We will start into round 1, which means we immediately get this bonus here. So all of the players get one of those counter guests, I believe, and you can use them once during the entire game. You can have up to 3, and you can always choose which side you want to use when you are playing it. So you don't have to make the choice right now. You do that whenever it's basically time. This one pretty much simply gives you a movement on this monastery track here. The monastery track gives you certain benefits like additional cards or like a nobleman, like a schnapps, things like that. We come to that later on, pretty sure. Whereas the other side is pretty amazing too, because this allows you to pretty much redo your turn when you place your cards. But I come to that in a second too. So this side to me is more powerful than the other side, but sometimes you are simply lucky and you're totally happy with the way the cards show up from your deck, and then you basically also can use it for the other side here too. Blue is the starting player. He has this nice tankard token here, pretty nicely done. And the first phase is something that all the players do simultaneously. And I think this is called the next evening in the tavern. So we pretty much take our deck and we will start revealing our cards. This is a guest sits directly at the table. So first table is already occupied. I know for a fact that the blue player only has guests in his stack right now because that's how the way I chose. So I know that we will only fill up this track here. So we will start to reveal those cards. The starting deck has 1s and 2s in respect to those guests here. And this is how much money they will actually provide you. You immediately stop this phase once all of your tables have been filled. In this case, this is the case for the blue player, so he would stop here. And then it's the red player, does the same. One guest, and one guest too. So he was kind of unlucky because he has 2 different cards in his deck. So now the red player could decide if he wants to spend this counter deck guest here in order to basically discard all of his cards he revealed this phase and start all over again. And pretty much like any normal deck builder, if this deck runs out, you take your discard pile and shuffle and start all over again. Actually, maybe this is really something that he should consider doing, to be honest. So yeah, let's do that. So he will spend his counter guest. So we will discard those cards. And by the way, there is a small typo in the German rules. They say that you have to place those cards face down into the discard pile when you take this action, but apparently that's wrong and doesn't make sense. Wolfgang Warsch already confirmed this, and maybe no, this is better. So here we drew a Bard. Bard is always a nice guy, and now we also have basically filled all of our desk, which means red has to stop here too. One thing that we can immediately do is to use our Bard here, for example, in order to increase our reputation, our fame to the first spot here, because this is what this little symbol here means. This is also one of the modules I am using. So the basic game has a different side of this innkeeper here. But of course, I'm using this reputation track here too. And this is pretty much 1 victory point at the end of the game. But this will go round in circles and you will gain more and more victory points by this mechanic here. There are some phases in between which we are not using because we don't have any waitresses yet. So we can directly go to the phase, what's it gonna be, or something like that. So we will roll all of our dice and we'll place them on these nice little coasters here. Really nicely done. Love those a lot. These are basically something that all the players do simultaneously as well. So here's what the red player rolled. And then the starting player has to make a choice, the first die he wants to draw, because this is now dice drafting mechanic. So I choose one of those, then I hand this coaster over to the next player, who then chooses. I get the die coaster from the player before me, and so on. I think you get the idea. I think for now blue wants to keep the 6 because the 6 can help you to gain more beer. Always important. Then he will pass this coaster over to the red player. And I believe red also wants to have some more beer, so he will grab the die with a number 1. Then he will pass this coaster over to the blue player. Next is blue again, and I think blue wants some money as well. So he will grab the die with a number 2. He will place it immediately there. Something you don't have to do, but you can do that. It could give the other player some hint about what you're planning to do. But to be honest, I found this pretty helpful, to be honest. Next, it's red. And because red also has a guest that needs a number 2 die, I think let's go for this die here too. Then he will pass it over to the blue player. He doesn't really care about the next 2 dice because he doesn't have any space, any particular space where he could place those dice. Luckily for all the players, there are some spaces which take any die, pretty much. The question mark here. The problem is you can only place 1 die here. Most of the cards or most of the spaces can only take 1 die. I think this monk here is one of the exceptions, and the same is true for the beer delivery here by this 3 dots, which means it can take any number of dice, but they have to be a 1 or a 6. The barrel is another space which can take any die, but it also allows you to take only 1. So I think in this case, yeah, he will simply go, doesn't really matter, he will simply go for this 4, and I think for now he will place it here to this barrel. But I think red will go for the 5, which he can place here on the monk, and the monk can take any number of dice, but of course they have to be a 5. And then it's pretty much only dice with a 3 available, so it doesn't really matter. We don't have to pass those coasters around, so every player gets another 3. So red can now make a choice if he wants to have more beer or if he wants to have more money. Right now he has 2 money here. He could get 1 additional coin here, the balloon here, for 3 money in total. Let's go for money in this case. And I think blue doesn't have a choice. He needs to place his die here. So he gets beer and extra money this round. He didn't have a 5, so he cannot use the monk here. Okay, this was pretty much the phase where we are choosing our dice. Next would be the real official phase where all the players would place their dice on their spaces. Again, this is not mandatory to do so, and you can change your mind later on if in your action phase, if you see something terrible has happened, you can still do that, and usually you do that simultaneously as well, but then the actions are being taken in starting from the starting player in a clockwise fashion, and then if you see the first player has taken something away which you wanted to have guest-wise, for example, then you can still change your mind and rearrange those dice. In this case, because we only roll our 4 basic dice here, or we use our 4 basic dice, it doesn't really make a big of a difference, and I'm playing alone anyway. Next we come to the reputation step, which is also something that's been added by one of those modules. So this is the way how you get your reputation up. The way how this works is you check how much gold you get and how much beer you get. And the lower figure, it tells you how much your reputation will increase. In this case, this is 1 beer, this is 1 beer. So the blue player gets 2 beer, but he gets 3 pieces of gold. So here he gets 2 gold and here he gets 1 gold. And all of those resources are virtual in this game. So there are no beer tokens, there is no beer track. The same is true for those doubloons. You really have to keep that in mind, but it works really well. Not a problem here. So again, that's 2 beer, 3 doubloons. 2 is the lower figure, which means his reputation goes up 1, 2 spaces. Unfortunately, he's 1 short here because the next step he would get 1 extra schnapps. Always a nice thing. Let's see how red does. Red only gets 1 beer here and also 3 gold. In this case, he also advances his reputation track only by 1. That's the reputation phase, and next we will finally do our actions. And this is now really something that you do in player order, starting from the starting player, going around the table clockwise, and you do all of your actions at once. And I think this could be something which I could imagine in a 4-player game could take some time, but it's really not that bad. So this is pretty easy. Those are 2 virtual beer. The problem is with 2 beer, there aren't any guests that are satisfied with only 2 beers. So this is the standard deck of customers, of guests, that they will always want 3 beers at least. Then we have a guest here with 7 beers, 8 beers, 5 beers, and those noblemen here, they require at least 9 beer, but there's definitely also other ways in order to get those, for example, by upgrading your tavern. So in this case, blue cannot really use his beer, but the good thing is you have a beer cellar, which means you can store up to 2 units of beer down in your cellar. The red player has already upgraded his cellar, so he can store up to 5 units of beer. So this was easy. Those 2 dice have been used. They go back to the coaster. Then we have 3 gold, 2 gold and 1 gold. That's 3 gold in total. And I guess he really wants to use this gold, so he will go for this beer trader here, a nice little dwarf that costs 2, and the, let's say, difference to a standard deck builder here is that you put the cards you require on top of your draw pile. So you don't put it in your discard pile and have to wait for your reshuffle in order to get use of it. No, you choose the order in which you place them onto your deck and then they will reveal. So you shouldn't act surprised when you see some of the cards. Blue still has one virtual gold left, and I think he wants to go for one of those bards here, which is an additional 1 coin. And one restriction is you can only ever acquire 1 card of a type during 1 turn. So blue couldn't go for 3 bards, for example. Okay, these were all of the actions for blue. We will place those dice back onto the coaster. Next thing to do, but we will do that usually simultaneously as well, but we might as well do that right away. We will discard all of our cards we have revealed this round. And then we do the same for the red player. Let's start with the easy one. That's the monk here. And the monk allows you to move your marker on the monastery track 1 space ahead. The first step doesn't give you anything. The next step would give you one of those beer merchants here, so he has to wait at least another turn. Red has 1 beer, so he has to store it. He cannot use the beer. This card has already been triggered, so we can discard it right away. Red has also 3 coins, and I think he wants to go with one of those beer delivery guys. But he doesn't want to go for another bard, I guess. So he wants to store 1 piece of gold in his safe down here. And you can upgrade this as well. So when you upgrade it, you can then store up to 5 units of gold. Okay, those were all of our actions. So let's discard the remaining card. You see, this game can be pretty quick. And it's really fun to play. Really like it a lot. And that's pretty much the end of the first round. So the nice little tankard goes over to the red player. We move into the next round. We hopped over this space, which means all of the players get an additional schnapps. Then all of the players gain 1 dancer here. And again, you can really use the player board here so nicely. So here are the 3 spaces for those artists that will come in. And when you choose one of those artists, you really have to make a choice at that point in time if you want to use this side. This allows you to trade in 2 schnapps for 3 virtual beer. Can be pretty huge. And on the other side, you can pretty much use 1 schnapps for 2 virtual gold. And I think blue needs some more cards because he had a disadvantage card wise, so I think he wants to hold on to this side here, whereas the red player wants to go for the other side, so he wants to be able to trade in 2 schnapps for 3 beer. And you can do that as often as you want or as often as you have schnapps. Keep in mind though, at the end of the round you have to pretty much get rid of any excess of 4 schnapps. Okay, then we reveal new cards. So this is a beer trader. That's always nice to have. So let me zoom out a bit. Sorry for that. This is an extra virtual table he added, and here he has a guest. Now he has run out of cards, which means he has to reshuffle his deck, and we will continue to reveal. Oh, the bard is back. That's nice. Another guest and yet another guest. Overall, I think that was definitely not a bad draw. We will do this card right away, which means he gets an additional schnapps, and the additional schnapps he could use this round right away. Awesome. And keep in mind, you always stop when all of your tables have been filled. So let's see how well the blue player does. We already know this card here. This is a bard. The next card should be also pretty clear. And all of those cards have their spaces on the board, by the way. So this is a beer delivery guy. Then we have a guest, and a guest. I'm pretty sure about that because those were the only cards he had. We still have 1 table left. I think overall he's definitely not complaining. So let's see. This is yet another guest, of course. And he also revealed this bard, which means we will put it face down. We will move ahead. This means he also gets 1 extra schnapps. then all the players will roll their dice. Oh, that's interesting roll, but it's not a bad roll with your starting cards, because a lot of your starting cards require 1, and you can also use them in order to get more beer. This is the result for the red player, and I think I will do the dice drafting now off camera, because it's not really fun to look at me passing coasters around. Okay, and those were the dice that the red player ended up with. I think it went pretty well for him. In total, he gets 3 gold and 1, 2, 3 beer. So you simply count this on top of the dice you assign. So he always gives you 1 beer. So that's perfect balance here. So he gets 1, 2, 3 steps on this track. And by the way, this little space down here is pretty much the missing link for the final module, which I'm not using here. So in the, let's say when you're using really all of the modules, then this also counts as a space, but we are not today. And blue was not so lucky in the end, so he pretty much got 3 beer. I think that's okay at least, and he only got 1 piece of gold, which means he only gets 1 step. But I think overall that's not too bad. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Red will go first, and I think he will use his 1, 2, 3 beer he has to grab one of those standard guests. So there's a huge pile available for all the players, but this guest really wants 3 beer at least. He provides us 1 victory point, but he doesn't have any immediate bonus, but he will bring some more money. So let's grab this guest. And yes, we also put him on top of our deck. So it doesn't really matter if it's guests or if it's furniture or personnel, they all go to your draw pile. He has 3 gold here, but he still has 1 gold in his vault. So in total, that's 4 gold he can use. And I think he wants to do that. So he will spend all of his virtual gold in order to grab one of the waitresses here. And the waitress is really cool because it gives you an extra die. And as we put it on top of his deck, he perfectly knows what to get the next round. I think this was pretty cool for the red player. So let's pretty much discard all of our cards, including the table here. Sorry for the mess. And then it's over to blue. This is the easy die, which lets him move 1 space on this monastery track. In total, he has 1, 2, 3 beer plus 2 beer here. So that's 5 beer in total, which he can use. And I think he wants to use that. Yeah, perfect. So he will spend this beer. He will give away those 2 dice. And with 5 beer, he could go for this monk here. And I think this is what he wants to do. He gives him only 1 victory point, but he has an immediate bonus. But this bonus only kicks in when you really acquire this card. And this means he just got 2 extra moves on this monastery track, and this means he also gets another of those beer delivery gnomes. So let's place the monk on top of this deck, the beer delivery gnome on top of this deck. We will immediately reveal a new guest here, and keep in mind you can only ever serve 1 guest in your game. So even if you would have incredible amount of beer, he could not go for, I don't know, 3 times this standard guest here, for example. You really have to go for one of those guests. The only exceptions are those noblemen or women. Really terribly sorry for that. You can basically trade in 9 beer for 1, 14 for 2, and 18 for 3 of those. And 3 of those noble women, that's 30 victory points in total, which is really a lot. Then it's blue and his gold, and he only has 1 doubloon here. In theory he could use her, but I think that's kind of a waste. So yeah, let's simply go for another bard. Unfortunately, it doesn't give him any victory points, but it will give him basically a virtual victory point because it allows you to move on the reputation track. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of round 2. I will discard all of the cards. The starting player moves back to the blue player. We move into round 3 already. We get another artist. And this side here pretty much allows you to trade in 5 schnapps for 1 upgrade, and then you really get all the benefits that come with the upgrade. So that's pretty amazing, but of course you need to wait until you get enough schnapps. And the other side is also pretty nice, especially when you think about deck building, because it allows you to trade in 2 schnapps to remove 1 card from your display. So not from your discard pile or from your draw pile, really from the display. So this can be really good, optimizing your deck. And I think he wants to hold on to this side here. Just for the laugh, I think red wants to take the other side. So I really want to show you what this game offers you. I used this once when I played this game in one of my training sessions. It's really powerful, but you really have to make sure you get to 5 schnapps in any given round, because again, you have to discard down to 4 schnapps at the end of a round. Okie dokie, let's reveal our card. That's the real fun part. So we know that's the Bard, last card we acquired. Then we have this beer delivery guy. Then we have a guest. It's a good guest actually. Another guest, and yet another guest. So I really hope to get some more gold this round. Really, he's needing though that he gets some more tables or maybe some more delivery guys, things like that. Yeah, that's the blue player. I think overall he's fine with what he got. Then we do the same for the red player. Okay, yeah, of course. This is the waitress. He gets an extra die. I will roll it in a second. A guest, and another guest. That's tough. But yeah, red doesn't have a chance, so he has to hold on because he already got rid of his counter guest. So yeah, he has to live with those guests. But overall, that's not bad because of the waitress. He gets an extra die. The die is a 4. He can use it later on. And then it's time to roll our dice again. Again, I will do the drafting off camera. That's an interesting roll actually. And again, this is what the blue player ended up with. Let's use the Bard before we forget. So he has 2 beer and 4 gold, which means he gets 1-2 steps on this reputation track. And that's the result for the red player. 3 gold, 2 beer, which means 1-2 steps here. Now he has to make a choice if he wants an extra schnapps or if he wants to remove a card. And I think he wants to go for a schnapps because the 3rd schnapps could make him use his dancer here. I think that's definitely not a bad idea. And then it's blue who goes next. Of course, again, we will go with the easy one first, which means we move on the track here. And this gives him one of our dishwashers here, which is pretty nice to be honest, because it allows you to add 1 pip to any die. You cannot reduce, it's really you have to add a pip, and you cannot go for from a 6 to a 1 in this case. In total he has 2 beer. He cannot really use it, so he will store the beer here in his cellar, but he also has 4 pieces of gold, and that's not really bad to be honest. He could make a 6 out of this when he wants to use this, and I think maybe he should really do that now. 6 gold is huge. Yeah, let's go for it. So he will spend 1 schnapps in order to activate her. So that's 6 virtual gold in total, and this gives you this delivery guy. And this delivery guy is really huge because it adds 1 extra beer to every die you add to this space down here. So let's say later on this would be the situation. You would have 3 dice here. That's 6 beer in total, which is really something. But for now we will put it onto our draw pile, so we will get it with our next turn. And yeah, that's already the end of the blue player's turn. I will discard all of those cards in a second. Then it's the red player. He has 2 beer, so I think he wants to store the beer. 1, 2 beer. Let's remove those. He will also move on the monastery track, which means he gets 1 of those beer traders. We will put this onto his draw pile. In total he has 3 pieces of gold. This is the gold he got from the waitress, so the extra die. And I think with 3 gold, yeah, why not? Let's go for yet another beer delivery, guys. So maybe the next round will be huge for the red player, and I think that's already it. We are not using those special abilities. The red die simply goes back to the reserve, and then we will discard all of our cards here as well. Let's move into round 4. All of us get another of those counter guests here. So blue has 2 of those, whereas red already spent spent one of those, but he has one back now. Let's reveal the cards. That's the delivery gnome, another delivery gnome. That's pretty amazing. That's our first guest for this evening. So let's quickly shuffle our cards. And another guest, and oh, a bard. That's pretty good. Not sure if you can see it, but that's a bard. And another table. That's also very nice. Another guest, and oh, the waitress is back. That's pretty cool. And yet another guest. So overall, this was really a very, very cool draw for the red player. Let's do the same for the blue player. Of course, we have the delivery guy here. We already knew that. That's perfect. The dishwasher, I think we also knew that, but I tend to forget in between takes, apparently, especially when I have to think for two players simultaneously. So let's see. Shuffle the card. One guest. Oh, the bard. That's also nice. Oh, another delivery guy. Another guest, another delivery gnome. That's pretty amazing. Another guest and the cool guest. Overall, also a very, very cool draw for the blue player. So again, we will roll our dice. Again, I will do, oh wow, that's a straight. I will do the drafting off camera. Okay, that's the result for the red player. Let's use the bard. Nothing will happen here. He will jump from 6 points to 7 points in total. Overall, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 beer and 3 gold, which means he takes 1, 2, 3 steps. Now we made it over this crown symbol here, which means we got our first nobleman. In this case, it's really men, but there are also women in this deck. We put it on top of the draw pile like we usually do. And that's the blue player. He will use his bard, so he will make it onto this space, and I think he will not go for a schnapps. He wants to remove one of his cards, and you can only remove cards that don't have a dice on it. Normally, because this happens before that, those dice would not be on top of those cards, but in this case it doesn't really matter. He wants to remove this guest from his deck. Overall, he really gets a lot of cards this time. So here are basically 4, so 2 times 2 plus 2, that's 6 steps, and also 6 goals. That's 6 steps in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He also gets a noble woman in this case. And he also made it onto the schnapps space, so he gets an additional schnapps as well. Usually you also do those reputation steps in player order, not simultaneously. You can always choose or see what the other players are doing, but in this case, again, I'm playing alone. So again, overall, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 3. He has 8 beer in total, and I think, yeah, let's go crazy. Let's go for this guest here. That he requires 8 beer. He's really thirsty, that one. He gives you 4 points. That's also not bad, and his immediate bonus also allows you to remove one of your cards. So yeah, let's totally go for this fella. And I guess red also wants to remove this basic guest here. So these were all of those dice he were using from the beer. I think this beer goes down to 0-2. I'm really hoping I'm not doing any goofs. And then he still has 3 coins in total. And I think let's go for something more crazy next round. So I think let's keep 2 gold and let's grab one of those bards. By the way, the bard is also one of it's been added by one of the modules here, I think. Maybe I already mentioned that. So let's place it on top of the deck. And one thing I forgot was to reveal a new guest from the deck. That's a 6. Oh, that's a nice one, to be honest, because you can trade in a 6 for 6 pieces of gold. That's really huge. Okay, then it's blue. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to use the dishwasher here because the dice came in pretty nice, to be honest. So yeah, but we will use her anyway. I think we will use her anyway. He has 4 beer here, 6 beer, 8 beer. I think he only wants to use 7 beer, so let's store 1. And I guess we want to go for this guest here. Yeah, for sure. He gives you 5 gold for a 5, and we also get an additional, no, it's not the waitress, it's the dishwasher here. So let's place the dishwasher on top of the deck. Let's also grab the guest. We will reveal a new one. Oh, now an 8 come out. So this was what he was hoping for actually, but not complaining. And now he has 6 gold here. And I think it's time to upgrade. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Let's upgrade the dishwasher here. Normally this would cost you 9 doubloons, but there is this little -3 here. So for every dishwasher you're giving back to the reserve, you can reduce that price by 3 in this case. So yeah, let's totally get rid of the dishwasher. So we put her back to the display. So this is now 6 gold we spent, so we are allowed to flip her. So now we have a permanent dishwasher at our disposal, which is always nice. And because we did an upgrade the normal way, this also means we get a nobleman. In this case, it's another man which we can place on top of our deck. And yes, that's 10 more victory points at the end of the game. Pretty cool stuff. Let's discard all of our cards this round. And you may have noticed I removed this card here, this guest, but you are not allowed to refill basically until you go into the next round. That is apparently, I think I should have mentioned this now. And then we move into round 5 already. This time we get a nice little juggler. This one side here can be nice because it allows you, when you do the cleanup at the end of a round, to basically keep one of the cards and place it back on top of your deck. But the other side is also very nice because it allows you to use 1 schnapps to change the face of a die to any number you choose to, and you can do that multiple times. So the more schnapps you have, the more dice you can send. This is the perfect mechanic for me. You know how bad I'm usually rolling. And I think in this case, yeah, red wants to hold on to, or wants to do the same thing here. Or maybe, why not? Let's go for the other side. I did this for all the other artists, so let's do it here too. Never used this, maybe I was wrong, so let's give it a try. Okie dokie, let's reveal our cards. That's a nobleman. That's another normal guest. Okay, that's the dishwasher. Then nobleman. This is basically exception. They're not clogging up your desk because they're victory point cards. They pretty much go on top of that. They really like to sit next to each other. That's a standard guest. We have to place him here. And yet another guest. This was not ideal, I think, but still, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's hold on to those cards. Not quite sure if I want to use it. It could be really worse. Then it's red. That's a bard we acquired. That's a guest. Oh, good guest. Nobleman. And oh, he's done too. Not so sure if I like that. Again, red could that's tough because it's a lot of gold actually, but not much beer this round. But you cannot always have that much beer. But this is really bad. And no, let's hold on. Let's hold on to what he has. Again, let's roll those dice. We do the drafting off camera. Okay, and here are the dice for the blue player. Again, I didn't use the dishwasher here because I was pretty happy, to be honest. And I can use them both on 1 die, by the way. So I could take those 2 points and add whatever 2 to this 2 here, for example. But I think overall, that's totally fine. So what do we get? We have 2 beer and 7 gold. So that's 1, 2 steps for blue. And that's pretty much the same for red, right? 2 beer and 7 gold. Let's not forget the bard, so he also gets 1, 2 steps, which means he gets an additional schnapps. For blue, it will be a pretty straightforward round. So with 7 gold, I think, yeah, let's totally upgrade the beer cellar here. Let's not try to destroy this. He had 1 beer left. That's pretty cool, but this also means he gets an additional nobleman. Let's put him on top of his deck. Now we can store the extra 1, 2 beer for the next round, and then that's pretty much the end of his turn. And here I wasn't thinking straight. So overall he has 9 gold in total, but I think this one is pretty amazing too. So I think instead of putting this guy here, I think we will place it onto the cash register, which also means he only would be allowed to move 1. But that's not a problem. We simply move 1 step back. We only have to remember that. And keep in mind, you are allowed to do that. When it's your action, you can still rearrange your stuff. But of course, you have to think about what you have to take back. In this case, that was not a problem. So 1 beer, it's simple. We will store 1 beer. But overall, he has now 7 plus 2, that's 9 plus 1, that's 10 gold in total, which is really, really huge. So he will upgrade his cash register here. And now when he places a die here, he gets 3 gold back. And of course, he also gets one of those nobles. And yeah, I think that's already the end of the round. Let's not forget to spend the gold here. Let's discard those cards. And then we move directly into round 6. Now we can make a choice. We can get an extra die this round, or we can go for one of those beer gnomes. And I think both of the players will want some extra beer, though they both put one of the cards on top of the deck, so they can use this card right away, which is pretty amazing. Okay, then let's reveal cards. Here's the beer gnome we just drew. Here's a nobleman we just got, another guest, and that was lame again. That was really lame, so no. Let's get rid of this guest here in order to restart that step. This was really not great. So that's a guest, and this is a beer gnome, one of our ones we already had. Now he's allowed to basically shuffle his deck, which is nice. So let's see if he makes some improvement this round. That's a bard. Okay, now we're talking. That's another beer dwarf. I think that's good. Another guest. Sooner or later they have to come out. And a nobleman. And again, all the tables are filled. So we stop for the red player. Overall, that's not bad. At least better than before. Here's the beer gnome we just got. A nobleman. A normal guest. A bard. That's nice. Another guest. Now we have to shuffle our cards. Flip some cards. So let's see what he gets. And yes, that's another guest. But I think that's not bad. Let's hold on to the cards. Let's roll the dice and do the drafting. Those are the dice for the red player, who is the starting player. Let's start with the bard. Let's move this reputation track 1 step ahead. He has 4 beer, 5 beer this round, and 3 gold. That's 1, 2, 3 steps. Here is blue. 1, 2, 3 beer, 2 gold. That's 1, 2 steps on the reputation track. And then red will go first. And in total, red has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beer. Yeah, let's totally spend the 6 beer in order to grab the guest here. That's 4 victory points. And yeah, that's 6 coin for a 6. Overall, not bad. Let's reveal a new card. Oh, that's kind of bad luck for the blue player. Then we have 3 gold, and I think red also wants to go for a dishwasher here. That's the turn of red. Yes. Over to blue. Let's do this. I think he wants to go for an extra schnapps. Schnapps is a victory point at the end of the game, by the way. Then let's do the easy one here. It allows him to progress on the monastery track. Let's use 2 gold in order to get another beer guy. I think that's always helpful. And then he has also 6 beer in total. Unfortunately, there is no guest with a 3. So I think, yeah, let's spend 1, 2, 3 beer here in order to grab one of those standard guests, at least another victory point at the end of the game. And I think that's pretty much it for blue as well. Round 7, every one of us gets another of those counter guests. That's always nice. Then let's fill the tavern. That's the guest we just acquired. Beer delivery guy. I think this is also one we just got. Guest, another beer gnome. That's good. Oh wow, that's always nice. That's really great. A bard, also nice, a guest, and another guest. And I think that's pretty good. Let's do the same for red. Okay, that's the dishwasher we just got. It's a guest, a good guest, absolutely. Another guest and a bard. Okay, that's nice. A table. Table is good. Table is really good, actually. Another guest and another guest. Not a lot of beer, but I think overall he's fine. So let's roll those dice. 2, 3, 5, 5. Here we had one situation. I think now it's really time to use this juggler here. So I will spend 1 schnapps in order to set this die to a 6 or to a 1. Doesn't really matter, because we really want to get some beer here. Really, really important. So this means overall we have 4 beer and 5 gold. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, which is another nobleman for blue. So basically another 10 points. And of course, let's not forget the bard, which is another victory point for blue. Red has an interesting round. He only had 1 step, but that's just enough to get him 1 schnapps. And he needs those 5 schnapps in order to use this artist here. And overall, we can definitely use the bard here as well. So overall, I think this will be really very interesting turn for red. Anyway, let's start with blue. He's a starting player. So in total, he has 2, 4, 7 beer. Let's spend all 7 beer to grab this guest here. And this gives him 3 movements on the reputation track. Pretty amazing. Let's see what comes out. Okay, he brings a schnapps. So let's do 1, 2, 3 movements here. That's an extra schnapps for blue. Then he will spend this die in order to move here. That's an additional schnapps for blue. And oh wow, okay, didn't really think about it. Okay, I have to remove some cards maybe. And I guess then he wants to spend 2 of his counter guests here in order to move on this track 2 more times. So now we get another nobleman. How cool is that? 10 more points. That's really, really huge. Then he still has 5 more gold. I think that's pretty great. So yeah, let's spend those to get another table. And by the way, this game really is screaming for expansion. I could really imagine all sorts of additional guests, of additional furniture, of additional, I don't know, personnel that could come to you. So really this game can be extended indefinitely. I really hope to see some expansions for this game. Okay, over to the red player. First of all, let's use this artist. So we will spend 5 of our schnapps. And yeah, I think this lets us upgrade 1 room. Let's go for this one here. So now we get 2 beer for every die we are spending here. But of course, the cool thing is we get another noblewoman in this case. So let's go for women now in this case. We're too many of those men. I think they're really equally in this deck, but I did a poor job shuffling, apparently. Then we still have 11 plus 3. Wow, that's amazing. That's 14 coins, if I'm not mistaken. So we can do another upgrade. Yeah, let's totally do that. Let's upgrade this to the other side. And in theory, I think I could use it right away, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is something I get right off the bat. Could be wrong about this, but what I'm definitely not wrong about is I get yet another nobleman. But yes, I was right. This is one of the bonuses that counts immediately. That's 1, 2 we can store for the final round. But I still have 5 more gold, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, let's go for a chair as well. We can definitely use the chair during the next round. But I think that's pretty much it for the red player 2. And one thing I forgot for the blue player was to use those things. The problem is I really didn't want to burn a card from my deck, to be honest. And so yeah, let's simply get rid of one of those schnapps. Yeah, doesn't really change a thing in the end. Then we're really moving into the final round. So he gets his schnapps right back. Basically, both of the players get a schnapps. And now we can make a choice if you want to have a table or one extra delivery guy. And I think both got tables, so I think they will both go for this delivery guy on top of the deck. So again, we can use this card right away. So let's see what cards we draw. We know this one, we know the table. I think that much is clear. Then we have a nobleman, noble woman. They sit next to each other. Standard guest. Oh, come on, a little bit more. Okay, that's better. Yeah, an extra dice. That's perfect. That's really, really perfect. Another guest and another beer. Cool stuff. Another nobleman. We put them on top of this. And the final guest. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the deck. I think overall that's pretty okay. Yeah, let's hold on to this. Let's do the same for blue. We know this one, we know this one. Okay, then we have a nobleman, we have a standard guest, another nobleman, another guest, and another guest. Oh, that's not great. That's not great. So I'm not so sure, should I redo that? But then there's a risk I'm losing this guy here. Wow, this was really devastating, to be honest. Should I take the risk? Yes, I would take the risk. I still have this guy. Let's basically start all over again. Kind of lame seeing me taking out those guys, but I will do it anyway. This is a nobleman. The dishwasher. Okay, oh, I think I forgot this guy too. To shuffle all of those. I really hope I get him back, or at least someone similar. Okay, interesting. Let's see what we get. One card, and then let's go. Another guest. Could be really worse. Okay, that's some beer. It's not bad. The bard. Okay, that's a victory point. Here we are. Perfect stuff. A table. Oh, that's really, really nice. Oh, perfect, 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 perfect. I think that's actually a very good draw. Much better than the last time. Another nobleman, another nobleman, another nobleman. And wow, yet another of those delivery guys. More beer. Okay, this was really worth it for the blue player. Amazing draw. Really amazing. Let's quickly roll those dice. Oh, wow. What an interesting roll. Again, we have a situation for the blue player where he wants to use his juggler in order to make a 5 out of this. And then let's do his turn pretty much. Normally we would do that with the red player, with the starting player. So let's do the movement here for the bard. He has 6, 9 beer versus 9 gold. That's not so 9 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He gets 2 more schnapps. Fortunately cannot use it, but of course we will get another nobleman here. Yeah, let's do that. And here that's amazing. So that's also 6 plus 2, that's 8, 10, 12 beer versus 5 gold. So that's 5 more steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So he gets another schnapps. I think this is really what he needed. And he also gets a nobleman, of course. So yeah, let's place it here. And then yeah, let's simply do our turns, starting with red. So again, we had 12 beer. We will spend 2 schnapps in order to add 3. That's 15 beer in total, which means we can trade those in for 2 noblemen in total. That's 20 more points for red. That's really insane. He has 5 gold left, and I think for 5 gold we will simply go. Yeah, unfortunately that's not enough. Oh, that's pity. Yeah, we will simply go for another chair here, which is an additional 2 victory points, and that's pretty much the end of the game for red. Let's quickly do the turn of the blue player. That's 9 gold. I think that's pretty easy. We will flip this to the other side. This gives an additional nobleman, another 10 points. And here we have 2 times that's 6, 9, 9 it is. And I think for 9 we can get another nobleman too. That's 10 more points. And that's it for playing the game. Let's tally up our score. So in theory, we will go through all of our cards, looking at the symbols here of those victory points. We will count those things. I think I still have to get rid of 2 of those schnapps for the blue players. So that's 4 more points. We will get the points that are here. That's 3 more points. But I will stop here and do some counting. So I counted 102 points for the blue player, including his reputation, of the 3 points here and the 4 points for the schnapps. So again, 102 points for blue. And it's 91 points for red, unfortunately. Yes, was a relatively close call, but in the end, blue was the winner. It may have been something to do with the way he progressed here on this monastery track. So that's 10 points here for the nobleman, 1 point for the schnapp. So I think overall, yes, definitely makes sense. Usually I'm really progressing more than what I did here for the red player. Measly 2 steps, actually. But yeah, that's how things go. And this is how you play Die Tavernen im Tiefen Thal. Again, I have no clue what the actual English title will be, but again, I assume it's something like the Taverns in the Deep Valley or so. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed my little playthrough. I really hope I haven't messed things up too badly. I really recorded this more or less in one go, so I will not be able to take back any of my errors. If I spot something during editing, of course, I will leave a comment. So check out those notes. But as usual, keep your comments coming in and I will put them into my Klingon subtitle as well. And I really hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And yeah, until then, bye-bye.